If you want to watch every episode of the Stop and Go F1 Retro Review of 1981 right now, you can do so by becoming a Mansell Mustache member. Click the link in the description below. Bucks Fizz Making Your Mind Up is the #1 single after their Eurovision victory. The Howling is the best film in the world, apparently. The Space Shuttle Columbia becomes the world's first ever reusable crewed spacecraft or something. But more importantly, it is time for the home race of the Brazilian Grand Prix winner, the joint championship leader, and most importantly of all, birthday boy Carlos Reutemann. It's time for the Argentinian Grand Prix of 1981. Now, in the previous race, Carlos Reutemann disobeyed team orders in order to win the race, making Alan Jones finish second. This has split the Williams team 50-50 into Team Jones and Team Reutemann. Meanwhile, the Lotus car is still banned, and Colin Chapman is not happy at all, and he's gone home. And speaking of fancy cars, it looks like Brabham have one as well. Now, the rules state that the floor of the car must be 6 centimeters from the actual ground. And every time the Brabham is measured, it is 6 centimeters above the ground. But the rumours are that they have a very fancy hydraulic suspension system, but they have promised us, hand on heart, that they don't use it in the race to make the car run any lower. I'm sure we will not hear about this ever again. Elsewhere, Jean-Pierre Jambouille is back in the Ligier and promises everyone he feels fully fit and is ready to race this weekend. He's failed to qualify. On pole for this race, for the second race in a row, is Nelson Piquet, and behind him is the first ever front row for the young Frenchman Alain Prost. Behind them is championship leaders and teammates Alan Jones and Carlos Reutemann, looking for another 1-2 finish for the Williams team, and René Arnoux completes the top 5.
Watch for the lights, the red, and then a few seconds later the green, and it'll be go. Trying, testing time for the drivers because they're watching the lights just as carefully as you and I are. And is Piquet going to get away well? Go! And Alan Jones has got a flyer. Alan Jones, #1, the world champion in the Williams, looks as though he's nosing ahead of Nelson Piquet as they go up to the first right-hander, the Recta Principal, which leads into a left-hand bend and then into the long Recta del Fondo straight, and that in turn leads into the curve on, a flat-out fifth gear double 180-degree right-hander, and it's Alan Jones in the Williams leading Nelson Piquet in the Brabham. The world champion leads.
And it's another bad start for Piquet as Alan Jones takes the lead, but it's even worse for Prost, who goes from second to fifth. But more importantly, it's now time for the amazing Andrea de Cesaris.
The amazing Andrea de Cesaris.
And that's De Cesaris. De Cesaris, the Italian driver in the McLaren, has spun off and he rejoins. No, he doesn't. He's in real trouble. Throttle happy, spinning the car, and away he goes.
The amazing Andrea de Cesaris.
And now, actually, whilst we were watching that, something very important happened.
And it's Piquet leading. We missed the actual point where Piquet passed Alan Jones.
I'm sure we will see a replay of that change for the lead. Oh, sorry. We're not going to see a replay for that change for the lead. But it seems like Alan Jones might actually have an issue because he's now gone back down to second, and there's a lot of pressure being put on him by his teammate Carlos Reutemann.
Aaron Reutemann is right with Alan Jones, and Reutemann's going to take his team leader. Reutemann, #2, the Argentine driver, is passing the world champion. And Alan Jones, for the second race in succession, is seeing the back of Carlos Reutemann's car. And I should think when Reutemann completes this lap and the crowd sees that he's ahead of Alan Jones, they will go absolutely mad with excitement. Now, this is the twisted bit, the mixtos, which is the second gear section, very quick. It's Prost in fourth position still in the yellow and white Renault. And there is Reutemann. Now the crowd is going to see him. It's Hector Rebaque has got ahead of Patrese, and Hector Rebaque is up into... And listen to the crowd! A great swelling roar of approval bursts from thousands of Argentinian throats as they see their national hero, Carlos Reutemann, going through ahead of Alan Jones.
Reutemann taking P2 there and getting a huge reaction from his home crowd on his birthday. Whilst we're here, let's check in on Nigel Mansell.
And that is Nigel Mansell coming into the pit.
Okay, let's check in on Didier Pironi.
In Grand Prix racing this year, into the pits, and now there's another one of the turbocharged Ferraris of Didier Pironi has followed Nigel Mansell into the pits.
How about Keke Rosberg?
Ferrari, and we look now, several cars into the pits. That's Keke Rosberg in the Fittipaldi.
How about Prost?
Prost and Jones, and Alain Prost is now ahead of Alan Jones. Alain Prost, the young Frenchman in the Renault, has moved up behind Carlos Reutemann into third place, displacing Jones, who goes down to fourth, and behind Jones in fifth position is Hector Rebaque. So it's Reutemann second, Prost in the yellow Renault third, Jones number one in the white Williams in fourth position, and we look at number 15, Alain Prost, the Frenchman, in third position, and Hector Rebaque, the third of these three cars, that's the young Mexican, is in fifth position.
Rebaque, though, is now all over Prost, which brings us to our commentary highlight of the week.
Prost, and this is quite incredible. I say quite incredible, and look at it. That's Rebaque, the second of these two cars. I say quite incredible because, frankly, he is not an absolute top-line Grand Prix World Championship standard driver. He's bought his way into the Brabham team. He's a very good driver, but he's not that brilliant. And he goes straight past Alain Prost with a superb outbraking manoeuvre as they come up to the hairpin before the mixtos, which leads onto the toboggan and the Orquilla. And Rebaque is driving the race of his life, and I take it all back. That was a superb bit of driving, and now he's after Reutemann. It does not seem to me conceivable that Hector Rebaque can catch Carlos Reutemann, and even if he caught him, getting past him would be something very different indeed with the Argentine in front of his home crowd.
Now, we're going to have to wait and see if Murray's prediction does come true as we watch the rest of this race, but wait a minute, we head back now because Rebaque is about to take P2.
Piquet is well away, he's about 20 seconds ahead of this battle, but this is the excitement with Prost fourth in the background, Reutemann second, number 6, Hector Rebaque gaining on him. Williams versus Brabham, Argentine driver versus Mexican, Rebaque at the back versus Reutemann in the front, battling for second position. And Rebaque is drafting Reutemann, he's come out of his slipstream and he just goes straight past. Well, if you had asked me before this race began what a pretty unlikely situation would be, I would have said Brabham's in first and second positions. Not because I doubted that Nelson Piquet could be in the lead, but that I would have frankly disbelieved that Hector Rebaque, number 6, could possibly have got ahead of everybody else, and he's driven through the field up into second position. A brilliant achievement.
This is the race of the career of Hector Rebaque. This is the race he'll be telling his grandchildren about. Everything has gone right for him today.
Hector Rebaque, the man who was in second, is out of the race. I don't know what the trouble is, but you can see for yourself that number 6, Hector Rebaque, is out of the running. So number 2 there, Carlos Reutemann, to the delight and the undisguised joy of his Argentinian countrymen, is up into second position with only Nelson Piquet between him and the thing that every Argentine person here will be dreaming of, a win for Reutemann.
So it's now Carlos Reutemann back in P2 in his home race, but he's about to face his hardest challenge yet, lapping an Arrows car.
He will be balking and slowing Reutemann, who closes right up to him on braking as they come towards the end of the lap, into the chicane, the left and now the right, which leads into the second gear hairpin before the mixed toss, and Siegfried Sturr must move over and let Reutemann through, or Reutemann will be losing time. Yes, Reutemann's coming out to pass. No, he doesn't, because Sturr slams the door in his face. Reutemann has to back off, drop back. He's lost time. 1:46.04 Reutemann is going for if he's faster than Piquet. There's Villeneuve behind him in the Ferrari. Behind Villeneuve, Giacomelli. Both of them being lapped by Reutemann in the Williams. And I'm afraid that Carlos has just got to stay where he is now until he gets out of the Orquilla here and into a wider, straighter part of the circuit where he will be able to take Siegfried Sturr out. The clock stops at 1:45.12. So in spite of being balked by Siegfried Sturr, Carlos Reutemann, who has at last got past the Italian, who is new to Formula One because last year he was in Formula 2, and in spite of being balked by Sturr, this man, number 2, Carlos Reutemann, has lapped nearly a second quicker than Nelson Piquet.
So with Didier Pironi out of this race, Gilles Villeneuve is now the lone Ferrari on the track. Let's see how he's getting on.
To the long right-hander, and somebody's lost it! Somebody's lost it, it's Villeneuve! Villeneuve does a full 360-degree and the rest spin in the 1.5 litre turbocharged Ferrari, and he lights it up. He's kept the engine running. He must have dipped the clutch, kept the engine running, and now he blasts his way back onto the circuit right in the face of Alan Jones, the world champion.
And with that, Nelson Piquet brings it home for a dominant victory, lapping everyone up to 5th place. Carlos Reutemann, in his home race on his birthday, takes the lead of the championship, coming home in P2. Alain Prost gets his first ever podium in 3rd. Alan Jones is 4th. Rene Arnoux is 5th. And Elio De Angelis comes home in 6th to take the final points position of the race. And we'll see you next time for the San Marino Grand Prix.